Chapter 1. My wife had a serious accident on her way to pick me up and was rushed to the hospital. Watching her blood-soaked body being wheeled into the emergency room, I sat on a bench, clutching my hair in anguish. When the nurse urged me to pay the fees, I coldly refused. Sorry, I don't have any money. My mother-in-law, who had rushed to the hospital upon hearing the news, was stunned. Song Feijuan, what are you saying? You're a company owner, worth millions. How can you not have money? I sighed. Mom, there's 500,000 in the account, but I promised to pay the supplier today. I can't go back on my word. My mother-in-law was furious. Song Feijuan, this is your wife. Is her life less important than your reputation? My father-in-law, frantic, knelt before me. Feijuan, my daughter is your wife. She had the accident on her way to pick you up from work. Please pay the fees and save her. Even my 6-year-old daughter clung to my leg, crying, Dad, I want mommy. Please save her. I placed my daughter on a chair and helped my father-in-law up. Dad, in business, credibility is paramount. I can't delay the supplier's payment just to save Man-Man. My mother-in-law, eyes red, pointed at me. Fine. I know Man-Man is less important than your reputation. Then borrow money from your business friends. Will that work? I shook my head. I can't find anyone to borrow from. They won't lend me money. I've always avoided operating on loans. Duo cried, tears streaming down her face. Dad, please save mommy. I'll be a good girl. I'll do my homework before playing. Duo, it's not that Dad doesn't want to save mommy. It's that Dad really doesn't have the money. I shook my head gently. Disappointment flickered in Duo's young eyes. My father-in-law, his eyes red-rimmed, said, Feijuan, money can be earned again, but a life, once lost, is gone forever. My daughter is your wife. This accident happened because she was picking you up from work. She cooks, takes care of the child, and manages the household, allowing you to focus on your work and build your business. He choked up, Feijuan, when you were penniless, we didn't approve of Man-Man being with you, but we respected her decision. Now the hospital is pressing for payment. Use the 500,000 for the surgery and repay it later. How about that? My father-in-law's words were reasonable. If I still disagreed, I'd be no better than an animal. But I still shook my head. Dad, I searched for a long time to find the supplier. I can't delay his payment. Otherwise, he won't cooperate, and the company's operations will be affected. Before I could finish, my father-in-law's face turned red with anger. You beast! Don't you have a conscience? Your wife is lying in the hospital, waiting for money to save her life, and all you can talk about is business. Passers-by gathered, pointing and cursing at me. Look at this animal. He won't even pay to save his wife. His wife is so unlucky to be married to such a man. Young lady, when you get married, be sure to choose carefully. Don't end up with a beast. Hearing their curses, I lowered my head and clutched my hair, sneering inwardly. Duo came over, tugging at my hand and crying, Dad, please pay the money and save mommy. Duo wants her mommy. I picked Duo up. Dad promised to pay someone back today, and I must keep my word. A man must be true to his word. You're a beast. My father-in-law clutched his chest, gasping for breath. Chapter 2. Mother-in-law quickly patted his chest and said, Man is in trouble. You have a bad heart. Don't scare me. Saying this, she fed him a quick-acting heart medicine pill, and he finally calmed down. Duo, come here. Don't be with that beast. Duo's big eyes were filled with tears. Grandma, I want to be with Daddy. Mother-in-law's face was cold. Duo, this is not your dad. This is a beast. He is unwilling to pay money to save your mother. Duo hugged me and said, Daddy, if you don't pay, will mommy die? Hearing this childish question, my heart thumped. The others became agitated, one by one pointing at me and scolding. Even a child has more conscience than you. Little kid, this person is a beast, not your daddy. You can't mistake a thief for your father. This kind of person's mind is full of business, not worthy of having a wife. I painfully met her pair of tearful eyes and gently shook my head. Duo, it's not that Daddy doesn't want to save mommy, but that money is for someone else. Daddy, you are a bad daddy. I don't want you. Duo rubbed her eyes and cried loudly, walked towards her grandmother, took out a small purse and said, Grandma, this is the pocket money mommy gave Duo, all for you. In her small hand, she took out 20-something yuan and placed it in her mother-in-law's aged hand. Among those coins, the largest two bills were 5 yuan, the others were 1 yuan, 50 cents. Some women's eyes were red-rimmed. Such a sensible little girl, so heartbreaking. Sensible to the point of being distressing. More conscious than her beastly father. I looked at Duoduo's red eyes and said, Duo, your grandma and grandpa have money. Why don't you ask them to pay the fee? Mother-in-law roared at me. Isn't all our money given to you two young people? Hearing this, the people around pointed at me and cursed. Even taking the mother-in-law's money, you are really heartless and ungrateful. The wife's family's money has all been given to them. This kid is really losing face for men. Father-in-law stood up and said to me, I beg you, please pay the fee quickly so that the hospital can wholeheartedly devote themselves to saving Man, okay? I sighed and said, Dad, I don't have any extra money on me. How can I still pay the medical expenses? Then forget about that 500,000 yuan. Then I stood up and was about to walk out. Where are you going? Father-in-law stopped me and shouted, There is something at the company. I need to go handle it. At this time, you are still thinking about doing business? Slap. Father-in-law was so angry that he slapped me in the face. Man's life. Is it not even worth as much as your company? I cover my face. This slap was very heavy, burning with pain. I calmly explained. An employee rushed out a proposal. I need to go back and revise it and send it to the client. The people around immediately went crazy and cursed at me. Your wife's life is uncertain, and you are still thinking about some proposal? Cold-blooded people are like this, pure beast. Why wasn't he the one in the car accident, but his wife? At this moment, a young nurse in protective clothing opened the door of the emergency room, quickly walked out and said, Who is Zhou Man's family member? Father-in-law said, Young lady, how is my daughter? The nurse said, Now she is in the most critical moment of emergency treatment. Several things need to use imported equipment. Although the hospital will also save people from the perspective of saving lives, but I still hope you pay the fee first, otherwise it will be bad if the doctor's salaries are deducted then. Mother-in-law pointed at me and sneered, This is my daughter's good husband. Ask him to pay the fee. The nurse looked at me. Sir, please go pay the fee. Similar things have happened in our hospital before. The patient was rescued, but the family said they had no money and did not pay, and later the entire department was punished. Chapter 3. He's not thinking of skipping out on the surgery fees, is he? I have that feeling too. What if the doctor doesn't dare to do his best to save her? He's willing to gamble on that. More and more people gathered outside, many pointing at me and whispering, and even internet celebrities came, shoving their phones in my face to film. Hearing this, the nurse's expression changed. She glared at me coldly and said, Sir, if you don't pay the fees, I'm afraid we won't be able to use imported equipment, which will affect the rescue effect. I shook my head. I really don't have any money on me. How about this? When my wife wakes up, I'll have her come pay the medical fees. She has money on her. The nurse angrily said, Are you even human? Do you deserve to be a husband? Saying that, she stomped angrily into the operating room. Seeing this, my father-in-law quickly grabbed my hand and said, Feijuan, Man is a good girl, especially to you. Not to mention taking care of the family usually. A month ago, she specially bought you a big cake to celebrate your birthday. And half a month ago, you accidentally fell and hurt your leg. She immediately took you to the hospital overnight. Such a good girl, and you don't cherish her. You're really not human. Facing my father-in-law's questioning gaze, I didn't say anything. My mother-in-law walked over and exclaimed, What exactly do you want to save, man? Do you want us to mortgage our house to you? I seriously thought about it, nodded, and said, If you are willing, that works. With this mortgage, I can immediately find a friend to get a loan to save man. Are you even human? You even want to covet your parents-in-law's house? Just now his mother-in-law said they gave the old couple's money to the young couple to subsidize their living expenses, and now he's even eyeing their house. The crowd around erupted in outrage, all accusing me. The internet celebrity posted the recorded video on a short video website, and it immediately went viral. Many netizens in the live stream called me a heartless bastard, and some even said they hoped the government would step in to deal with me. At this moment, a tall figure rushed in from outside. Song Feijuan, are you really going to mortgage man's parents' house? I looked at the person who came and said calmly, Yang Xiao, It's none of your business. What do you mean it's none of your business? Yang Xiao angrily grabbed my collar and gritted his teeth. Man is so good. If I had known you would treat her like this today, I would definitely not have agreed to you two being together back then. The people at the scene were stunned for a moment, obviously not expecting Yang Xiao to say that. Yang Xiao and Zhou Man were childhood sweethearts, but Yang Xiao went abroad after high school, and they lost contact until he returned a few years later. Zhou Man and I went to the same university. In our junior year, we met and started dating. Not long after graduation, we got married. A year after marriage, Zhou Man became pregnant and became a full-time stay-at-home mom. My career started to improve 3 years after marriage, and up to today, I've earned tens of millions in assets, and the future prospects are very good. Watching Yang Xiao raise his fist to hit me, the people around cheered, hit him now, beat him to death. Afraid of trouble, the security guards quickly came over and pulled Yang Xiao away. Yang Xiao pointed at me angrily and said, "How about this? I have 100,000 yuan here. I'll go pay the surgery fees, and you pay the rest, okay?" Sigh. It would have been better if Miss Zhou had married Mr. Yang in the first place. I support their divorce. Yes, they must divorce. Amidst the shouts of abuse, I answered a phone call. Bossy? Don't worry. I'll transfer that 500,000 yuan payment to you now. I transferred the 500,000 yuan payment. This was like setting off explosives. After a brief moment of silence, the angry crowd, full of rage, rushed over, one after another wanting to hit me. Especially Yang Xiao. He picked up a chair and was about to smash it down. Afraid of trouble, the security guards quickly came over and pulled Yang Xiao away. A few security guards couldn't stop so many people. Scumbag, go to hell. Beat him to death. Chapter 4. I quickly grabbed my phone and pointed it at them, saying coldly, "If anyone dares to hit me, I'll be picking out a car tomorrow." Shameless. Many people calmed down, but gritted their teeth, their eyes flashing with intense anger. I said to everyone, "If you want to know why I refused to save my wife, let's go into the emergency room and see." Hearing this, Yang Xiao suddenly panicked. Under everyone's confused gazes, I turned and walked towards the emergency room. My father-in-law shouted, "Song Feijuan, stop right there. There's an ongoing emergency operation. Are you trying to kill Man?" I looked at the red, in operation light in front of the emergency room door, resolutely kicked the door open, and walked in. The crowd outside froze for a moment, and many people followed me inside. In the large emergency room, the department director, anesthesiologist, and 2 assistants were performing surgery. Seeing us enter, they were stunned. A nurse quickly came over to stop us, shouting, "Mr. Song, what are you doing?" I said, "Stop pretending. You're all damn good actors." The department director put down the scalpel and walked over, glaring at me. "Are you Zhou Man's husband?" "Yes. A person like you doesn't deserve to be a husband. You're pure evil." Then the director looked at everyone. "Please leave. This is an emergency room. If anything happens to the patient, you will all be responsible." Many people stuck out their tongues, pointing at me unhappily. "We were almost fooled by you. That Song guy's trying to kill someone. Yes, he brought us in here to sabotage the surgery." Whether in the live streams of influencers or online, public opinion was in an uproar. Many people tagged the police, demanding that I be brought to justice. I sneered repeatedly and looked at the crowd, saying, "You don't have to leave. First, take a look at the patient on the operating table. There's basically no emergency surgery happening." The people who were about to leave stopped and looked over doubtfully. A female patient was lying on the operating table. Her long hair was tied up and covered with a surgical cap, her face covered with an oxygen mask, and she was sleeping soundly. Her ample chest rose and fell gently, covered by only a thin blanket. Her lower abdomen was covered in blood, and a tray beside her held blood-soaked cotton balls, a scalpel, and blood bags. The department director said sternly, "Mr. Song, how long are you going to keep this up?" He glared at the nurse. The nurse's face turned pale with fright. "Director, I already called the police. I didn't know he would be so brazen as to barge into the emergency room, but the police should be here soon." As she spoke, several men and women in police uniforms pushed the door open and entered. "Doctor, what happened?" The officer with a crew cut at the front looked at the department director in scrubs. "Arrest this man." He's trying to prevent us from performing emergency surgery on the patient. The department director pointed at me, his voice cold as ice. Yes, this man not only refused to pay for his wife's surgery, but he also ran in here trying to disrupt the operation. He's suspected of attempted murder. As everyone talked over each other, the officer with the crew cut quickly understood the situation. Without him saying a word, 2 officers came over to arrest me. Haha! I quickly backed away and, under everyone's incredulous gazes, removed the oxygen mask and surgical cap from the patient on the bed, shouting, "This person is not my wife, Zhou Man. Everyone saw that it was a young woman in her 20s, with a full figure, 2 or 3 years younger than me. Their expressions instantly turned to confusion. I said, "Moreover, this isn't emergency surgery. They're performing an appendectomy. Although the patient's appendicitis is somewhat severe, it's not life-threatening." Hearing my words, the department director and the others' faces changed. Chapter 5. I knew everyone was still skeptical of me, so I immediately rushed over and grabbed the patient's medical record. The department director and Yang Xiao saw this and immediately rushed over, intending to snatch it back. Of course, I couldn't let them get it. After all, the patient was still under anesthesia and would probably wake up in about 20 minutes to prove her identity. The 2 of them blocked my path on the left and right, and then pounced on me. Yang Xiao even shouted loudly, "Song Feijuan, you can't keep making mistakes." As they were about to pounce on me, I quickly threw the medical record to the flat-headed police officer and shouted, "The patient's name is Su Donghan, 24 years old, and my wife, Zhou Man, is 28 years old. They don't even look alike." The medical record was opened, and many people saw the photo on it, which was the woman in the hospital bed. Her name was indeed Su Donghan, obviously not my wife. What on earth is going on? That's right. Didn't you just carry in a patient covered in blood? You said her life was hanging by a thread, and now you're telling me you're doing an appendectomy here? Damn, what life-threatening danger is there with appendicitis? I had it done before. My condition was mild, and I didn't even need general anesthesia. I had local anesthesia. It was done in an hour, very easy. I heard several doctors gossiping the whole time, and the doctors and nurses were flirting from time to time. Don't listen to him. A hint of panic flashed in the department director's eyes. Miss Zhou isn't here because we rescued her, and she left. Oh, I see. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. After all, it was a bit difficult to adapt to the sudden reversal of me from a beast. The flat-headed police officer pointed at me. "Come with us now." "Not yet." I smiled. My wife, Zhou Man, wasn't injured at all. There was a lot of discussion at the scene. Some said I was trying to muddy the waters, and others thought the department director's behavior was suspicious. I remember the injured person was covered in blood and unconscious, in critical condition. It's only been half an hour, and she's been rescued so quickly. That's right. This half hour has to include the time for the appendectomy patient's surgery. At this time, a considerable number of people were also supporting me. Faced with the questioning, the department director seemed flustered, but still calmed down. In any case, this is an operating room. My patient is still undergoing surgery. Please leave first. The flat-headed police officer nodded. Yes, everyone come out with me. We'll talk after the surgery here is done. Many people walked out. No, I didn't move. If everyone walked out, then perhaps the mystery would never be revealed. But I had evidence in my hand that could reveal their true colors. Mr. Song, if you continue to be so unreasonable, I can only use force to ask you to leave, the flat-headed police officer said sternly. Looking at him, I smiled faintly. Police comrade, Miss Sue's appendectomy is already complete. She's healthy. The reason she hasn't woken up is because the anesthesia hasn't worn off yet. As a top student from medical university, I could naturally tell whether such a simple operation had been completed. That's right, it's indeed done. I'm the attending physician of colorectal surgery at another hospital. Mr. Song is right. This lady has completed the appendectomy. 2 people walked out of the crowd, agreeing with my words. I saw that the faces of Yang Xiao, the department director, and my parents-in-law had all turned very ugly. Daddy, let's go out. Duo walked over and hugged my leg. I picked her up and looked at everyone, saying, "Do you know why I didn't save her when she was dying? Want to know?" Many people nodded. I took out my phone and brought up my photo album. Let everyone see what my wife, Zhou Man, looks like. So beautiful. Willow eyebrows and peach blossom eyes, a delicate oval face. She's a beauty. Many people exclaimed in admiration. Chapter 6. Then, I brought up another video. The car accident just now happened on Spring Road, which is relatively remote. The white BMW X5 is the car driven by Joe Man. In the video, the car driven by Joe Man rear-ended a large truck, making a loud bang. The front bumper of the BMW was broken, and the engine compartment was completely mangled. The windshield was also shattered all over the ground. Immediately afterwards, the car door opened, and Joe Man got out. People were stunned. She was actually okay. Joe Man went around to the passenger side and lifted a girl out. That girl was similar to her in height, figure, even hairstyle and face shape, but her features were more three-dimensional than Joe Man's, and she had a youthful look. Everyone looked closely and realized that this was Su Donghan, who was here for an appendicitis surgery. Then, Yang Xiao appeared in the frame, panting. He and Joe Man argued fiercely for a while, and then they seemed to reach some agreement, and then hugged each other. There was an uproar at the scene. Did I see it wrong? They just hugged. My God, isn't Joe Man's Song Fei Juan's wife? How could she be hugging another man? Are they having an affair? Is this woman a slut? Oh my, it's too messy. Suddenly, Yang Xiao and his parents-in-law's faces burned. The mother-in-law anxiously shouted. Yang Xiao and Man are childhood sweethearts. They encountered a car accident at the time, and Man was frightened. So that's why. Any other woman in that situation, I believe, would also want to borrow a shoulder to calm down. Then, she pointed at me and scolded. Man had an accident. Where were you? You didn't go to comfort her. And now you want to ruin her reputation? I sneered, ignored her, and continued to play another video. In the video, Yang Xiao took out a blood bag and poured it on Su Donghan, who was unconscious. The white clothes were largely stained red, blood was dripping. It was shocking to look at. Next, they made an emergency call. The ambulance arrived quickly, put Su Donghan, who had hit her head and was unconscious, on a stretcher, put her in the car, and quickly left. It just so happened that Su Donghan had come to the hospital for a checkup and was diagnosed with appendicitis, so they performed surgery on her, using this to set a trap for me. Everyone suddenly understood, so we were all deceived. Too disgusting, right? We were all kept in the dark. It's commendable that Mr. Song knew the situation and remained calm in the face of danger. If it were me, I would definitely be furious. Strange, Miss Zhou was clearly fine. Why would she send her female companion in the car to the hospital and then tell her husband that there was a car accident and her life was hanging by a thread? That's right, why? I smiled. Why? Because they wanted to put on a show for me. The crew-cut police officer frowned at me. A show? Then what is their purpose? I said, for my company, to make me leave with nothing. I pointed at Su Donghan. She is our company's product and technology director. She is also a victim in this matter. Everyone was even more confused. Someone with an impatient temperament shouted, Brother, can you explain it clearly? Someone waved his hand at him. Don't rush. The story is probably complicated. It can't be explained in one sentence. I said, You may not know. If I had given that 500,000, I would have been fooled and would have been completely eaten clean. In my past life, it was because I learned that my wife, Joe Man, had a car accident and her life was uncertain that I became very nervous. So I gave him 500,000, and then because I had no money to repay Bossy's payment, I lost this crucial supplier to the company, and thus went bankrupt. The payment I owed Boss, he was not 500,000, but 5 million. I've been delaying him for more than half a year. Bossy has run out of patience and told me that if I don't repay the payment, he will sue me in court and bankrupt my company. Chapter 7. I went to him several times, moved him with my sincerity, and knowing my difficulties, he finally agreed to pay back 500,000 of the payment today, and the rest will be paid off in 3 months. In my previous life, my company was operating well, and it was likely to make hundreds of millions in profits in the next 2 or 3 years. I wouldn't have been so short of money in the first place. But the funds in the company account were transferred away by Joe Man through various means. Almost all of it was given to Yang Xiao, and Yang Xiao secretly established a company similar to mine, and Joe Man helped him create high-quality imitations of my products. As long as my company went bankrupt, with Zhou Manman's help, he could easily take over my customers and suppliers, and his company could get off the ground immediately. In my previous life, I was kept in the dark and used the only 500,000 yuan in the account to pay for Zhou Manman's surgery at the hospital, which completely disappointed Boss He. A few days later, no matter how I explained it, it was useless. His company's legal department sued me, demanding immediate repayment of the 5 million yuan owed. I couldn't come up with that much money, and the company was ordered to declare bankruptcy and liquidate. After the company went bankrupt, I was depressed and unsuccessful all day long, drowning my sorrows in alcohol. My wife, Zhou Manman, took the opportunity to divorce me. Because I couldn't afford the lawyer's fees, I couldn't even keep the premarital house my parents bought me, and she snatched it away. I was left with nothing, homeless, emaciated, suffering from severe depression, and addicted to alcohol. Later, I accidentally fell from the building. Lying on the ground, I had a flash of inspiration and suddenly remembered many strange things about Zhou Manman and Yang Xiao. In my dying moments, Zhou Manman and Yang Xiao came to my side. They mocked me wantonly, calling me trash, saying that I was being played by them. I was furious at the time, and I also knew the truth about everything. It turned out that as soon as Yang Xiao returned to the country, they rekindled their old relationship and got together. But I was completely unaware, working hard as the boss at the company every day and turning into a stay-at-home husband and early childhood teacher when I got home. I invested everything in Zhou Manman and this family, but all I got was death and the dissipation of my soul. Having lived again, I certainly couldn't let this happen again. So, I rushed to the scene of the accident as soon as possible and recorded the precious truth. What do you mean you were fooled after giving 500,000 yuan? Don't talk nonsense. My mother-in-law, with her arms akimbo, said to everyone, the young couple had a spat, but it's nothing now. It's just a farce. My father-in-law quickly echoed, that's right. Man is fine now. Let's go home. Fei Jun, you're a grown man. Go and bring Man back. Live a good life in the future. They made it sound so simple, which only highlighted their guilty conscience. Before, they would constantly gaslight me. Even if it was Zhou Manman's fault, I had to be generous and coax her back. But now, I'm not the person I used to be. I can't let them off so easily. If I don't beat them to death this time, who knows what kind of schemes they'll use to mess with me next time. What do you mean it's nothing? It's a big deal. I sneered, pointing at my father-in-law and saying, you just said that Zhou Manman treats me well, cooking, cleaning, and taking care of everything at home? Isn't that so? I laughed. Indeed, that's what she does. She does cook. After all, she just washes the rice and plugs in the rice cooker. Then, when I get off work, I wash the vegetables, cut the meat, and then stir-fry, making a table full of delicious food. As for her cleaning, it's just taking the trash downstairs when she picks up our daughter from kindergarten in the afternoon. Zhou Manman spends all day at home playing games, watching dramas, and applying face masks. Sometimes she's too lazy to even wash her own underwear and socks, and I have to wash them by hand when I get home. My father-in-law said angrily, you're a man. What's wrong with you doing a little more housework? She even celebrated your birthday last month, and when you were injured, she took you to the doctor overnight. Chapter 8. I laughed. She rushed me to the doctor that night because her driving skills are subpar. She knocked me over while reversing, causing my leg to hit the ground and swell up considerably. I suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Could it be that she intentionally tried to hit me? As for buying me a birthday cake, that's even more ridiculous. That cake was originally meant to celebrate a small, 10,000 plus yuan deal that Zhou Manman and Yang Xiao's company had closed. Yang Xiao's father was sick and asked him to take him to the hospital, so she took the opportunity to give me the cake for my birthday. The cake came with a card that read, congratulations to Man Xiao Company on its successful deal. I saw the card at home just now. There have been many signs that Zhou Manman and Yang Xiao are together. For example, every few days she would tell me that her best friend had asked her to go shopping for clothes, or a classmate had asked her to hang out, or a new movie was out and she wanted to see it. Every time, she wouldn't come home until the wee hours of the morning, actually going to a hotel with Yang Xiao. In addition, I often found her either on the balcony or locked in the bathroom, whispering intimately on the phone. Unfortunately, at that time, I trusted her 100%, If I had had the slightest suspicion then, I could have avoided this tragedy. My in-laws were speechless after my rebuttal. I looked at my father-in-law and said, Man secretly transferred my assets to give to Yang Xiao to start a company, and then stole the formula for my core product, as well as poaching my clients. They thought they could get away with it, but they didn't expect me to find out. She also borrowed a lot of money from my friends in my name and gave it to you too for living expenses. Because she transferred a large amount of assets from my company, it caused a cash flow shortage. If I don't repay the 500,000 yuan in goods payment tonight, mister, he will sue me and my company will go bankrupt due to insolvency. Zhou Man and Yang Xiao will naturally take over my clients and suppliers, leaving me with nothing, and then she'll divorce me so they can be together. I looked at my in-laws, my voice devoid of emotion. I won't let them get away with it, and I'll send them to jail. The people present were furious. Holy crap, the business world is like a battlefield. I didn't expect that you can't even trust your wife. What kind of wife is this? This is a rotten crotch. Adulterous couple. Despicable. Whoa, I almost hit the innocent mister. Song, just now. I'm ashamed. Public opinion instantly reversed. Online, many people offered me their sympathy and support, demanding that the police punish the adulterous couple. In the influencer's livestream, the screen was filled with comments of adulterous couple. My in-laws suddenly became terrified. Yang Xiao's face flushed red, and he shouted at me, Song Feijuan, don't slander us. Man didn't transfer your assets. Although I used Man's name for the company, it's because I consider her a friend. Can you stop making wild guesses? It doesn't matter if you slander me, a man, but Man is your wife. You can't ruin her reputation. My father-in-law exclaimed, Yes, Man is your wife. Don't ruin her reputation with your baseless accusations. Listen to your dad. You two go back and communicate properly, and then live a steady life. Dad, no, I should call you Mr. Zhou from now on. I interrupted my father-in-law, looking at him and Yang Xiao. I'll report this to the police later. I don't believe that transferring assets from my company won't leave a single trace. Yang Xiao's face was pale. If their conspiracy had succeeded, and with Zhou Man's cover-up, naturally no one would investigate. But now, I've discovered the problem, and as long as there's an investigation, the truth will come out. Chapter 9. I pointed at the department director. Also, my wife was clearly fine, but you said she was in critical condition and demanded I pay 500,000 for emergency surgery. This is fraud, and I believe the police won't let you off. The director gave me a forced smile. Mr. Song, I made a mistake just now. Let me tell you, Zhou Man was in mortal danger when she arrived, and we saved her with our quick actions. Then she left. We are your wife's saviors, but you don't have a single word of thanks, and now you're accusing me of fraud. I scoffed. In my video, Zhou Man was conscious and not in any life-threatening situation. Also, you said surgery? What surgical instruments and consumables were used? Show me. I graduated from medical school, although I studied pharmacy, specializing in pharmaceuticals. My company operates in that field. I can tell whether or not emergency equipment and consumables were used in this operating room. We've told you Miss Zhou was fine and left. Why don't you believe us? The director's face was flushed, veins bulging. Really? Are you sure she left? I sneered at him. The director hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Yes, she did leave. Is that so? What if I can find her? I said, pointing to one of the director's two assistants, a female. Would you mind taking off your mask and head covering and showing us your face? The female assistant's body trembled. A policewoman quickly rushed forward and removed the blue head covering and mask, revealing her true face. She was a beautiful woman with a delicate, oval face and large eyes, but her complexion was pale. Mommy! Duo cried out before her grandmother covered her mouth. Many people heard Duo's call and realized she was Zhou Man. Director, you have nothing to say now, do you? I said coldly. The director took off his mask. He was a man nearing 50, pale-faced. His real identity was Zhou Man's uncle, and he and Zhou Man both held shares in Yang Xiao's company. He was the key link in this conspiracy. As long as I paid the money, their scheme would have succeeded. Honey, I'm also a medical school graduate. I was just here observing my uncle's surgery, Zhou Man said, giving me a sweet smile. She looked innocent, as if everything had nothing to do with her. I said flatly, Man, at this point, you're still acting? Man was stunned, then started crying. Honey, I'm sorry. Yes, I admit I went a little too far this time, but today's incident was just a game I wanted to play with you. Also, my relationship with Yang Xiao isn't what you think. We're innocent. In the car accident video, I was hugging him because I was scared. She came up and tried to hug my arm, acting coquettishly, but I pushed her away forcefully. Dirty woman, don't touch me. Song Feijuan, I told you it was nothing with Yang Xiao. Why won't you believe me? She sat on the floor, crying pathetically. Then, while I wasn't paying attention, she gave her daughter a look. Duo, being perceptive, hurried over and hugged me. Daddy, don't bully mommy. Let's go home, okay? Get away. I kicked her away. Duo fell to the ground and burst into tears. Whoa, what's going on? Why did he suddenly hit his daughter? Maybe his wife's infidelity was too much for Mr. Song. Man went over and picked up Duo, pointing at me angrily. If you have something to say it to me. Why take it out on our daughter? This is not my daughter, I said, shocking everyone. She's the bastard child you had with Yang Xiao, and I've raised her for 6 years for nothing. Chapter 10. No wonder she didn't listen to me. No wonder she was so unruly and didn't like to study. I often took Duo out to play, but she was unwilling to get close to me. Back then, I foolishly thought I wasn't good enough. Now that I think about it, I was a huge joke. Then I pulled up a paternity test on my phone for everyone to see. After I was reborn, I found a friend at the hospital and had them test my hair against Duo's hair and nails. Thanks to my friend's help, the test results, which normally take 3 days, were ready just now, and my friend took a picture and sent it to me. The results, through DNA comparison, Song Feijuan is not the biological father of Song Duo. Everyone stared in disbelief. Instantly, the scene erupted. My God, she's really not his? The adulterous couple not only cheated, but they dared to raise the bastard child. Who wants to be the sucker who raised someone else's child for 6 years? This news is explosive. I never thought I'd witness an adulterous couple and their bastard child in person. It's the modern era that saved them. If this were ancient times, they and the bastard would have been drowned in a pig cage. Amidst the cacophony, Man wished she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Yang Xiao and my in-laws' faces were also ashen. Duo stood there crying for her dad, but my face was icy, devoid of any warmth towards her. Officer, please take the department director and the others away. Also, the anesthesiologist, assistant, and nurse who participated in this fraud. Hearing this, the officer nodded, and several policemen walked over. This matter involved professional ethics. If they were imprisoned or criminally detained for defrauding patients, they would likely be fired from the hospital, and other hospitals wouldn't dare to hire them. Their careers would be ruined. The anesthesiologist cried out anxiously, "No, officer, we were all dragged into this by the director. We didn't know what was going on. The director said no matter what happened, he would handle it." The assistant said, "Right, the director also accepted red envelopes. I once saw him take a 10,000 yuan red envelope from a patient's family." The nurse said, "The director is also very lecherous. He once got a young nurse pregnant and then told her to have an abortion. Yesterday, he even tried to touch me and wanted me to sleep with him. I refused." With the walls crumbling, the nurse, assistant, and anesthesiologist all revealed the director's wrongdoings. The department director's body trembled, and he was quickly handcuffed by the police. The others were also called in for questioning. In the influencer's live stream, many people applauded. The trending topics online shifted. Breaking. Man and Yang Xiao are having an affair and have a bastard child. The adulterous couple colluded with an unscrupulous department director to bankrupt Mr. Song's company, but their plot failed. I looked at Man. Let's get a divorce. Suddenly, I felt very tired. I had poured my feelings and love into this small family. I was very good to Man and my in-laws, giving them several thousand yuan in living expenses every month. Man bought them things every now and then, and I didn't mind. But their entire family conspired against me, treating me like a monkey, even causing me to lose my life in my previous life. "No, I won't get a divorce," Man cried. Her eyes were full of regret. She suddenly knelt before me and pleaded, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again, Feijuan. I beg you, don't divorce me. Can we start over? My expression remained unchanged. Miss Zhou, you're overthinking it. Expect my divorce lawsuit. Zhou Man burst into tears. After all, the old me had always catered to her every whim. In reality, she didn't realize she was wrong. She was afraid because she knew she would go to jail. Embezzling company funds is a financial crime that carries a prison sentence. Chapter 11. Moreover, without me, she'd struggle to find another sucker willing to devote themselves to her completely. Man, don't beg him. Yang Xiao walked over to help her up. Slap. Zhou Man slapped him. Don't touch me. Yang Xiao burst out laughing. Don't touch you? Huh? I've touched your body countless times. Look how promiscuous you are. I knew he was trying to provoke me. As you wish. I swung my fist, hitting him hard, and blood spurted from his nose. Officer, I want to report him. He hit me. He's finished. Yang Xiao covered his face, grimacing in pain. The officer calmly stated, "This is a mutual assault." I was stunned for a moment, then burst out laughing along with everyone else. Even the police looked down on this homewrecker. They were both taken away. I immediately called my lawyer friend and explained the situation, asking him to assist the police in investigating Yang Xiao and Zhou Man's financial crimes. At that moment, Su Donghan woke up. Director Su, how are you? I went over and helped her up. My head is dizzy, Su Donghan said, holding her forehead. You were just having surgery. It's all over now. Huh? I had surgery? I was in a car. How did I fly here for surgery? She looked utterly bewildered. Seeing her like this, I laughed. Su Donghan is a brilliant scholar, pampered by her parents since childhood. I recruited her. Her knowledge is very solid, and she's the product and technology director at the company. Her work is impeccable. Under her supervision, the company's products are of good quality and have promising market prospects. Unfortunately, in her daily life, she sometimes makes funny mistakes. For example, once when she came to my house and said she would cook for me, she washed the rice and put it in a wok to boil. In my past life, Zhou Man and Yang Xiao set me up, and I lost everything. It was she who often came to see me. Later, she took me to live in her apartment. She ordered takeout for me. Later, because of me, she learned to do laundry and cook for the first time in her life. When she had free time, she took me traveling, trying to help me out of my predicament. Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't know how to cherish her, didn't know how to hold on to the person beside me. In this life, I won't let her go again. Director Su, let's go back. Let me tell you about what just happened. We walked out. Hearing what I said, she was shocked and cried out in distress. Oh my God, you're such a good person. How could Sister Zhou do this to you? Saying that, she couldn't help but hug me. I was stunned. For the first time in my life, I felt like I had found true love. I hugged her back tightly. A month later, Zhou Man and I filed for divorce. The apartment was bought by my parents before the marriage, so it belonged to me. My parents had shares in the company, but she still took over 20%. Duo was not my biological child, so I demanded that Zhou Man pay $300,000 in emotional damages and issue a public apology, which the court accepted. 3 months later, she and Yang Xiao were both imprisoned for 2 years for embezzlement and ordered to repay the $5 million they stole from the company account. A year later, I married Su Donghan, that silly girl, and later we had a beautiful baby girl. My career reached new heights, and the company's assets exceeded 100 million. 3 years later, I heard that Yang Xiao had committed suicide in prison due to depression. One day, while Su Donghan and I were at the mall buying children's clothes for our daughter, I saw a familiar figure. It was Zhou Man. She looked haggard, wearing a sales uniform, helping customers try on clothes. Because she got the wrong size, a customer berated her. Zhou Man, please focus a little, okay? Don't always get things wrong. Look at you, how many jobs have you changed? I smiled, my heart undisturbed. Later, I heard that her parents also had to find temporary jobs to support the family, and her daughter, Duo, became a problem child and had been transferred to 3 different schools. After dinner, I looked at my babbling daughter, exchanged a smile with my wife, and hugged each other, embracing our happiness.